whatever we say in the beginning of the episode is like a reply to like the most notable comment that we got. So hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back to Talk Our Way Out podcast. And no, Dustin is not white. Anyways,
if anybody wants a laugh, go look at our YouTube comments. I mean, there's not many, but when you find the right one, there's some pretty funny little trails in there. There's this one guy that was trolling us on one of the Chris Sky videos. I guess he was mad that we talked shit about Chris Sky. But other people started chirping him back for me, and I was like, "Oh, this is amusing. Let me just eat my popcorn while I watch this." And then after a while, he's like, "Honestly, I don't actually care about Chris Sky. I just want these guys to know they fucking suck." I was like, "Okay, got your message, bro. Thanks."
Honestly, the comments, it's helped my anxiety because I'm like, oh. Everybody hates either one of us at any time for the exact same reason. So I'm like, nothing I say can really matter because they're gonna hate it if it's good, hate it if it's bad.
Yeah, I guess for me, it's like I understand, like, you know, there's other YouTubers that are much more relevant that have way bigger followings and way more haters, and like they'll have people be like, "You fucking suck, you should kill yourself," and like just go off on people. And those people can like really take those personal comments because it's like just them in front of a camera, and they can internalize it, and it can really affect their mental health. But me and Kyle have been saying that to each other for years. So like if you ever picked up fucking NHL or Madden or 2K or literally any video game ever, and we're sitting here, I'm like, "Kyle, that was a garbage shot. You should kill yourself." He's heard that before. So like, is he bothered by it? No, it just, anyone talking shit to us on a comment telling us we suck, I'm like, man, I've been hearing this my whole life. I've been spitting it back. This is what we do. We've been talking, the boys have been talking shit to each other for years.
We had a friend that used, like, this one's kind of, it's a little bad, but we had a guy that used to, like, he'd get kind of like extra sad, and we'd realize that, so we'd kind of pick up on it and start kind of using that. Like, I know you're having a shit day, but you're definitely not going to win today. Like, we're still going to fuck you up in 2K. We're still going to. And he had a couple times where we're like, okay, we're going to take a break. We're going to take a quick break. Maybe talk to you tomorrow.
Just calm
down.
down.
Yeah, we definitely grew up before words were out of bounds. So
well, yeah, like there's all these memes that are going around like Instagram every now and then. They're not like super common, but like every now and then they come up, and it's like, oh my God, people today couldn't handle like a Modern Warfare 2 Call of Duty like party or whatever. The party chat was just crazy. People just cussing at each other, going off, dropping the N-word everywhere, like just slurs. Like they were way too intense. Kids would, this day and age, wouldn't be able to understand. We literally lived that. It was actually funny. I was coaching football, and the guys that I coached, they're like, I don't know, like 17 to 22 is the age group. And so I mentioned it because like, I know that I was there, but they definitely weren't there. And one of the guys was like, no, I was there. I remember that too. I'm like, dude, that game came out when you were like 5. You didn't even know what they were talking. No. We look it up. Yeah, you were fucking 5 when that game came out. I was like,
dude was playing the remastered version.
Yeah, I was like 13, 14. Like I was actually there. You were 5 years old. You were on your brother's account. You didn't even know what they were saying. So like some of these guys are like, no, like back at those old Call of Duty parties, things were savage. So someone telling me I'm an idiot on YouTube, man, that's the best you got.
Honestly, that's the only part that I'm like, once they start to really know us and find those little things, like once they start realizing like, yeah, I used to be self-conscious about my nose. Yeah, I've got all these little things that like that could actually hurt. But when they just call me dumb, I'm like, I'm fucking smarter than you. I'm good. I'm fine. And yes, I'm talking to you.
See, I think the funny part is too is like there's at the end of the day, they're still the guys going on YouTube videos and just telling anybody that they've randomly find, you're a fucking idiot. I to this day have never gone to a random YouTube video and just told someone they're an idiot. Like I just don't care that much.
What kind of people are like that, right?
Like if I think someone's an idiot, I'm like, I can't handle this guy, and I like turn it off.
Oh, actually, okay.
Ooh.
I don't remember who it was. One of the people who like was commenting on a couple of our videos. So I did some research into this guy.
Oh no! Who was
Not like-
it?
Not like investigative research. But I basically I'm like, who is this guy? Like, let me
Because
figure
he
this
comment.
out.
I didn't
It's
know who you're
that
talking.
Bon Appetit motherfucker.
Jean Francois.
Yeah, but
I'm
yeah,
talking to you
so
now,
I'm
boy.
saying-
Yo,
French
dude,
boy.
you click on his page and it's like it goes right to these YouTube videos that he's been making for over 7 years. Where
Oh,
it's like,
shit.
man, I don't remember the name of the character that he plays, but he literally just like puts a pillow underneath his shirt, and then he like pretends to be a superhero,
What?
and it's
I
like
love it.
a legitimate like a pretty cringy video, and he's got like a handful of them.
Oh no!
Yeah.
There are no
Yeah.
French superheroes. We know that they quit when the war
It's-
starts.
It's wild. So I'm just like, oh, okay. So like, this isn't like some like important person trying to shit talk us. This is a dude who has no idea what he's doing with his life, and just one of his pastimes is just trying to shit talk other people.
Because if he knew what he was doing with his life, he would have deleted that shit a long
Yo.
time ago.
It's like,
It's called season 2. You get rid of season 1 real fast.
That's
the
so
oldest
funny.
video is literally like 7 years old, and he's been making these videos. It's
That's
crazy.
so
It's not like
funny.
a ton of them, but it's like once every couple of years, he's just like, I have a new skit for my superhero show. It's crazy. It's yeah.
Shout
So
out
that's-
John Paul.
Hey.
Those are the kind of
I'm not even
people
going to give
who,
him his real name. I can't remember it. I don't
Yeah.
care about this guy.
Yeah,
That's fucking jokes, man. That kills me.
yeah. It made me pretty happy to look back and see that. Oh wow.
Oh, so we were talking about words that are kind of out of bounds. So I was watching no, not me saying it. Don't worry.
I was like,
This
oh,
is-
where are we going
This
with
is
this
the
guy?
president of the United States. Don't worry, not just some idiot with 70 followers. We're good. So it was like sometimes when I look and I watch on Twitter, like Biden, he gets quoted, he gets a video pull out. It's like it seems like he's buying into like the joke of him, and he'll say things to kind of like get people to watch more. But like he was doing a press conference on I probably can say it because it's part of the league. I'm not gonna say it. N-word league was what there was a baseball league before that's why I'm not gonna say it. The MLB.
I'm so glad you didn't.
Yeah,
I know.
Like,
what the-
why did you even think about saying that?
because the president said, like, everybody's saying it because it was actually a league. So you'd think saying that, like, I had that second where I'm like, I'm not gonna say it at all. He went through and said it, but instead of saying the N-word league player, he said the N-word player was blah blah blah. He missed the most important word, and he said this at a big press conference as the president.
Why haven't I seen
Nobody
this?
said anything.
Why haven't I seen this?
Because he's Sleepy Joe. Like, nobody cares. They're like, yeah, the guy's 95. He's just gonna say dumb shit sometimes.
Everyone's like written off the president of the United States as like that shitty off-colored like grandpa that no one ever
Yeah.
is like, oh, fucking grandpa. Like,
He's the old guy that's at work that he never books off holiday. He just isn't there sometimes.
He's the
That's
quirky
it.
side character of a sitcom or something.
that is so irks. Do you think Barack calls him? I'm like, Joe, what the fuck was that?
Yo,
Like,
bro,
what are you
you
doing?
need one word. Like, you had to remember one word this whole conference,
Why
and you
haven't I
remembered the N word. Like, come on.
Why haven't I seen this? That
It's-
sounds hilarious.
It
Not
doesn't go
because
viral. That's why. You're on the other side of Twitter. I got my own echo chamber. I got my own
Kyle's got his
echoes.
own echo chamber. That's so funny.
Wow.
Yeah, I don't even know, man. That's wild.
You guys hear? So Mike Tyson has been smoking toad saliva
Okay,
past like
Yes,
5
you
years.
said this.
toad venom. What is like? I obviously I know what toad venom is, but like, why is
Do
this
you
a
really?
common drug?
It's a very uncommon drug, that's for sure. It's DMT. So DMT is the drug that like Joe Rogan talks about all the time too.
Mhm.
It is like you smoke it and you literally go into another dimension made out of geometric patterns.
What the fuck?
And most people comment on the fact that there's like someone, like a thing on the other side when you go into that dimension, and they're kind of like you very much feel that presence. And a lot of times people come back like a completely changed person because they had a talk with like a outer dimensional being. So he was smoking it about 3 times a day, he says, which is just insane. But
most people smoke it once and it changes their life forever, and they're like, I don't even need tobacco anymore.
Yeah, so like ayahuasca is
Yeah,
like
oh, yeah.
you go into like the Amazon jungle and it's like basically it's still a chemical compound that's comes down to DMT, but just a different version of it. But like this is a huge ritual that people go in to like the forest and get like a shaman to like bless this trip. And yeah, he was smoking a more powerful version of that and just like casually doing it. But ever since we've been talking about Mike Tyson a bit more, because he's supposed to be fighting the Jake Paul or whatever. They're looking
Logan
into
Paul.
him. Logan Paul, yeah, fuck one of them.
Same Paul.
One of
Who
those
cares?
fucking
Paul.
white kids. But yeah, dude, that guy, he does a lot of drugs. Like, I was watching a podcast he was on, I think again with Logan Paul or something like that, and he literally does like 4 grams of mushrooms, like right on the show.
Just fucking
Yeah,
petting his pigeon.
he's a crazy guy.
Well, what do you when you're that rich, what is there to do?
Yeah, question your own reality.
Well,
Like,
well, it's a combination of rich, but with Mike Tyson, like, because I've listened to his podcast and kind of I went into his backstory a little bit more just to kind of understand him, because he's known as the most powerful, scary person in the entire world, and then
Yeah.
you see viral clips of him crying, talking about his feelings, and you're like, okay, there's clearly some kind of divide.
Yeah, well, there's a pretty big difference between like the old Tyson and
Yes.
then the newer version of Tyson too, right? But
Yeah, and like a big part was when he was a kid, he was just a scared little boy that got attacked and was beat up, and then he got a trainer that taught him how to fight, and then started hypnotizing him to make him into a warrior and saying like, you're gonna fight for like your goal is to kill this guy. That's your goal every time you get into a ring. So then that's all his life. The only thing he knew that love could come from was beating the shit out of people. So he did that forever, and then when it was done, he was kind of like, what do I do now? Like, there's a whole new world I have to do, and he's like, I'm gonna take every drug I can and figure out where I am, figure out who I am. Am I actually this person? Am I still hypnotized? Are the drugs hypnotizing me now? Like, where am I? And if you're taking three things of DMT in a day, like, I don't think he's ever gonna find them. Like, he's somebody
well,
new.
I mean, yeah,
he might be God. He might be God's brother, like a bodyguard.
an ego death is a very eye-opening experience. So I can really imagine that he is just, with the amount of power and finances that he has, he's just able to have ego deaths as like a casual pastime.
Yeah.
Which is insane because they're profound, right? And he's just casually doing it.
So I've never done drugs, but when I hear stories like this, I'm like, man, that sounds kind of cool,
Bro.
Like, how do I die without doing that?
Yeah,
Like, at the
ego
s-
death.
Like,
the
at the
weirdest
same
thing ever.
time, the whole idea is one of the reasons why I don't do drugs at all. Period. So like, would I really even want to? I don't think so. But like, sounds cool.
Man, I think everyone should experience an ego death. It's unexplainable. It's weird.
So ego death, is that mushrooms, acid, like that kind of trip, or is it only specific?
Yeah, I usually it kind of relates to like, I guess, how high you actually get off of the drug. Because you can do like mushrooms, or you can do acid, you can do a small amount, and like everything gets colorful or everything gets kind of wavy. You start giggling quite a bit. But if you up the dosage, eventually you kind of break past this filter of the persona that you have grown up with. You forget to turn that on while you're acting as like just a normal
What?
human. So
That
like
sounds wild.
every decision that you make throughout your entire life or throughout your entire day, it's all based off of the experiences that you have. Everything that makes you who you are. So when you make a decision, you're basing that decision off of, based on the choices that I've made in my life, I'm going to choose this option. So once you get high enough on psychedelics, you kind of forget about that part. So then it kind of turns into, okay, if I was a human, what kind of decision would a human make, rather than what kind of decision would I make as a person?
Oh,
And
okay.
it's very, very eye-opening. Like, you just kind of look at everything as a whole very differently.
I'm intrigued.
It's
that's pretty
it's weird,
intense.
man. Yeah.
And like even thinking about for me, like I don't do any drugs like past weed, just because my family's had a lot of drug problems. So, but like what Dustin said with ayahuasca and DMT, those things, they sound they sound like something I want to try, because then it kind of might open a door that I didn't know I had, or like kind of, because I've always had like just different mental things, and if I maybe turn those off for a second and like look clearly at just who I am, maybe I choose a different path, and like maybe I choose this or that. But as of now, the ego is saying like, well, I know if I do that, it could work that way, or I could go the way that like my family's gone, and I could end up on the streets of Vancouver and be okay with that because I just lost everything and I'm crazy. So that's the scary part for
I
me.
doubt any of the people on the streets of Vancouver are there because of like mushrooms. If they were, they probably had some psychological issues anyways.
And that's the part that I'm talking about, is that it might open that
but
up
I
for
mean,
me.
it's like there's not very many recorded cases of people legitimately going crazy from these types of drugs. So it's a lot safer than a lot of people think it is.
So the
Just has a
cancer
bad
that I
rap.
had, nobody gets it when they're almost an adult. It was only for little kids. So this is why everything freaks me out, because the things that aren't supposed to happen to me.
Yeah.
Like it just,
That's fair.
it always scares me, that kind of shit. But that's yet again, if we didn't have my ego, you didn't have your ego, we could just say, this sounds cool, we'd go do it. We wouldn't think like, oh, what did I do in my past?
So you're
what
talking
about the
about
future?
like you don't know if it would open up a doorway. So an ego death is kind of the realization that you're just standing in a pile of doors. Like there's just doors everywhere, but we can't see any of them because we're too hyper focused on one single spot of consciousness that's on the plane of reality. Whoa.
I'm fucked up right now.
This is the highest Dustin's ever been.
Yeah, I just fucked with your mind, boy.
Yeah, I'm like, I'm not ready for this.
I'm not ready.
But yeah, I could
Jeez.
definitely see how somebody like Mike Tyson, or like when like Joe Rogan, those big players, like you said, they can take it, and if it changes their entire life, they're fine. They can quit everything they're doing and do something new because they're already set up financially, and most people will follow them because they're already invested in their future.
Yeah. A big problem with it is once you realize the potential of your mind, and then you kind of come back down to reality, and then you realize, oh wait, I'm trapped because I've been living with this fucking ego my whole life, and I've got all of these obligations and I can't do anything about them. So to be able to have that experience where you have this life-changing realization, and then you wake up the next day and go, yeah, I'm going to follow through on that. I'm just going to be a different person now because I wasn't enjoying the experience of who I thought I was before. And then you just have that, I don't know, pleasure of now being a different version of yourself.
So with that
Whoa.
being said, is that where like the psilocybin trials, we had talked about them before, is that kind of, because it sounds like if I had depression, or if I had like severe anxiety or something,
Yeah.
that could be a little bit of a, hey, it's just you. It like,
Very
because
much
obviously
so.
there's sometimes it's in your brain, you have different things going on, but if it just kind of shows you that second door where like, yeah, this one's you depressed and this one's you okay, if you just go and do this stuff, you'll be fine.
Yeah. So like the scientific expression of the neurons that fire together wire together. So the more you have certain thoughts, the more those two thoughts kind of go hand in hand, right? Kind of thing,
Okay.
right? So if you're always depressed and everything makes you sad, the fact that everything makes you sad is what then also makes you depressed, and it kind of goes back and forth. So with like psilocybin specifically, it actually changes the blood flow in your brain. So all of the normal pathways that all of the neurons that are really used to firing together, they stop firing together completely, and a bunch of neurons that don't really activate very often will actually get blood going to them. So a lot of times people will do mushrooms and they'll have like traumatic childhood experiences get brought back up because they're these like deep thoughts that they haven't thought about in years and years, but the mushrooms allow the blood flow within your brain to move to different locations, right? So then you start bringing up different emotions and different experiences that you kind of been subconsciously hiding from yourself, and it allows you to open up to those experiences because then you're a lot more open to contemplate those experiences as well, right? So it's there's a lot of trials behind the effectiveness of like therapy for psilocybin specifically. It's pretty crazy.
That's wild.
Yeah.
I don't even know how to go on.
I don't know, but
I think we might need to.
I'm like,
this is the next part. Here's your mushrooms.
Yeah, I'm like, damn, like I don't even know where to go with this.
Do I even like my life?
Yeah, honestly,
I don't even want to do this.
Yeah.
We'll switch gears here, just because I'm fucked up about this now.
It's crazy.
So have you guys heard about the tennis player? I think her name is Peng Shuai. I might have said that wrong, but
I will let you
just
say that
starting-
name.
Just starting to look into it. Let's hear about this.
So there's this woman. She's a tennis player in China. And she recently posted like a 1,600 word post on her social media, basically claiming that the vice premier or whatever the fuck.
Hold on. What fucking social media account allows you to post 1,600 characters?
Weibo apparently.
Okay,
That's
a lot.
It's in China.
It's a Chinese social
It's
media. I
like,
don't know.
wait, isn't it like 140?
That's like an essay.
Come on.
Yeah, no, that's like an essay.
Okay, go.
Anyways,
Yeah, leave it to China to be like they censor everything except for their social media. They're like, fuck, you gotta have whatever you want to say on social media. You're good.
Wait, hold on again. 1,600 characters, but they're
1,600 words.
1,600 words, sorry. But each character. Oh wait, I'm getting all fucked up because
It's because you're
they're-
fucked up about that psilocybin,
Right?
We're still high, man.
Okay, because I'm thinking 1,600 characters because each character is like literally a word. That's a lot, but it's 1,600 words. Never mind. I'm thinking
It's even more.
Yeah, I get it. Okay, let's move on.
Anyway, she wrote a long ass post about getting forced to have sex with some old man who was in power.
The vice premier.
Yeah, of
China.
something of whatever. Now, since that post, she went missing. She was gone. She was just like silent. No one had seen her for several weeks. And then everyone's like, yo, what happened to her? Is she safe? Did the government snatch her? What's going on? Well, then all of a sudden she started showing up again. She was like on some like webcam like interview or something like that where she just looked like really weird and was like acting like everything was fine and nothing happened to her.
Fake, man. It was a
Right,
deep fake.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, honestly. Or like someone had a gun to her head on the other side of the camera, one or the other. And then she was like seen at some tennis event and she had a couple public appearances, but she's like, I'm just doing my thing. Everything's fine. And she asked for some privacy, which sounds like bullshit. And so basically everyone's conclusion is that China snatched the bitch.
Yo, for sure.
That's
Like,
what they do.
and there was I can't remember what news channel it was, but they were they had in the bottom corner of the screen, they had their Chinese feed and everything was playing. The moment they brought up this girl, it goes boop, bars, nothing.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of people don't realize China actually has a very tight grip on China. Like the Chinese government, like they literally rule China. Like
Yeah,
they
that's terrifying.
can do whatever.
Because any business is technically for China, so
Yeah.
if China wants it, they just take it. Like
Yeah.
if the government decides I like Apple, I'm taking the app, like just using it as an example, I'm taking that business over, and that money is now mine. That's going into the government. That's going into better China, and you all should be happy because this is better for you. That's the
Yeah.
idea. But even
Yeah.
like the video, it kind of reminded me, and even the appearances of Hunger Games. I think on the second or third one when they capture the boy, yeah, where they capture the guy and then they've got him on video. He's like super skinny. He's like, yeah, it's great here. I really enjoy it. I've been eating tons. And then going to different appearances, and then
Yeah.
at the end he finally is like, it's a trap. They're gonna kill you all. Like this is what I'm waiting for. Is like they're gonna be like, no, don't go to the U.S. Open. Like I'm not gonna be there. It's gonna be a robot.
Yeah.
Like
She's
it's crazy whenever you see videos or anything coming out of China. It's scary because it's something I have no idea what they actually could be up to. And if everything I hear is propaganda or not, because I've never been there. I've never like actually been a part of it.
yeah, I don't know.
I've always wanted to go to Japan.
See,
So
Japan's
cool.
another story. Japan seems like a wild time.
Yeah.
I would love to go to Japan.
Yeah, but I know like relating to Bitcoin and Bitcoin mining, a lot of people were concerned that because electricity was so cheap in China, there was tons of Bitcoin miners over there. So everyone's worried that like, oh no, the security of Bitcoin could be taken over by China because anything that goes on in China, the government can just take it. So all of these miners in China, they're like, under the watch of the government, basically. And if anyone wants to take it, they just can walk up and take it, right?
So China's mining Bitcoin, and the government's like, we're just gonna take all the Bitcoin.
They could, in theory. So something just recently, like they have banned Bitcoin a handful of times now. It seems every time it goes up, they'll ban it and then it drops. So
Yeah, whenever they don't like the price.
yeah, there's like a conspiracy saying that China government is kind of trying to control the price of Bitcoin because they'll say it's banned and then they'll get all of their like the society in China to try and sell all of their coins and crash the market so then they can buy more and then they'll unban it and then people buy in again and they just keep doing that and they're trying to fuck with the market because they know that it's here to stay.
That's
Are we talking about
Yeah.
China or Elon Musk? I'm pretty sure he does the exact
they
same
work
thing.
together.
He takes notes.
Yeah,
Oh,
but the
no.
last time they banned it, like all of the big companies that were mining moved out of China. So that conversation is kind of gone now. They're all like dispersed throughout like Chile and America, things like that. But China's a weird place, man. It'll they control all of it.
You know what's also a weird place? Fucking America. America's a weird
Fucking
place.
America.
I'm not about to pretend like our justice system in Canada is that great, but America is wild
It's
to me.
a little bit better.
But America is wild to me. I wasn't sure I was going to talk about it, but I kind of got fired up and now I want to talk about it again. Dude in New
Let's
York.
go.
Dude in New York. We'll talk about that later, I guess.
know.
Dude in New York he was on trial for, apparently what happened is when he was in high school, so he was like also a teenager, he would take girls at his parties, he would drug them, get them loaded, and he would rape them. Okay, obviously he's a piece of shit. Well, he took a plea deal, which usually is a significant lesser charge, just to, like, get it over with. But his plea deal was still guilty of like 3rd-degree rape and some other stuff. So he's still a piece of shit. And that plea deal would have got him like down to like 8 years or something. Well, the judge prayed for him apparently that night and thought that jail time's just not appropriate for this rapist. And so he got probation and just a sex offender list, which will probably be gone in like 5-10 years. Kind of sus. Families, obviously, families are choked. That's not even justice. Like, what is that? To me, that's wild.
See, I hate the idea just in general, in anywhere you are for a trial, to be able to be like, oh, you just say you're guilty or not, and we'll just give you this. Like, no, the whole point of a court system or of having a jury, all that, is so that you prove who is innocent and who is guilty. Just having somebody say it doesn't, like, why are we not going through the process? Do the whole process. You get to the end, you see all the evidence that this guy is clearly a piece of shit. You're going to uncover more evidence that he's a piece of shit. Then you can have it. But if he just pleads guilty, I want to just do my 8 years, the judge, that's all he's really seeing. He's not seeing the entire like ensemble of everything that happened. He isn't having all the girls' families come in and talk about what happened or how it affected their lives, or if one of them had committed suicide and their parents now don't have a kid. He's not seeing all that. So all he's seeing is this one kid that made a mistake in high school, and like he doesn't want that to ruin his whole life, so he only wants to have 8 years. So I'm going to try and help this guy because those people are already affected, but this guy, his life could be saved. So that like you can put yourself in his shoes in that situation and be like, I can see what he's thinking. It's completely asinine, but if you put all the evidence in front of him, he's not going to come to the same conclusion. So being able to just skip the trial and say, yeah, I'm guilty, and just give me a lesser sentence, that's retarded. Like, it's the dumbest thing I've ever heard of. I hate it.
I mean, I can kind of agree, because I think that also opens the door up for people saying they're guilty of things that maybe they didn't do, and the person that actually did it is running out there doing something. Like, I guess a good example of that would be, if anyone remembers, this was probably like 5 or 6 years ago at this point, but Making a Murderer, that one with the Sean Avery case. They had I think it was his nephew. I can't remember his name, but he was like special needs. He was like something, I don't know what he was. I'm not going to guess, but he wasn't all there mentally. And the police basically talked him into admitting he was guilty for something that he probably didn't do. And
That's
he's still in
wild.
jail.
Wow.
And that's the crazy thing about just what you said there, is that that's generally how the criminal system goes, is cops telling them, hey, we've got you. Your buddy's snitching on you. Like, he's going to tell us what it is. So if you don't tell us now, you're going to have to go down for double. He's going to walk. That could be bullshit, but there's no rules on what the cop says to you. Your words can be used against you. Their words don't mean shit. So even like for a plea deal, like what that guy might have taken, if they're in like an investigation room and the cop says like, hey, if you just, we've got you. We know that you did this. We know all the evidence is in front of you, but we can give you 2 years if you plead guilty to it. He goes in front of the judge. The cops don't have anything to do with that. It's the prosecutor. So the cop could just say that, and then he gets in front of the judge, and that's 20 years. He might not have done it. Like, not this case specifically, but a person might not have done it and taken the plea because he's like, they're going to do it anyway. I can't help myself. They've already got me. I haven't done it, but somebody made it look like it is me.
I got
This is
framed.
the best I could possibly do. And then he gets in front of a judge, and it's the rest of his life. And he's like, fuck, that's not, like, the cop said this, and that doesn't mean anything. There's no rules for the cops lying or not lying.
Yeah. American justice system's fucked.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just gonna expand that. The justice system in North America is fucked.
I mean, I feel like the justice system in most of the world.
Yeah, you know what?
Maybe
Who
not
has a
like
good justice system?
I feel
Honestly,
like Denmark probably has a good justice system.
So-
Denmark probably. You
some-
guys are doing it.
Yeah,
right.
Some chill Nordic country
Yeah.
with a really high happiness
Yeah,
rating.
yeah.
Did you see this a couple years ago again? Michael Moore. Do you know who that is?
Yes.
Yeah. So he had Conquer the World was his Netflix show. He had like 5 or something years ago. So it was basically he was taking US and going to all these different places and taking them over, but just taking their best ideas. So I think it was Finland or somewhere in Europe that he went there, and their prison systems it's an open prison. So like somebody gets murdered, it's basically they're living on a farm. They have to do their regular duties every day. They have to take care of whatever it happens to be. And in general, they don't have the same violence in the prisons. They aren't repeat offenders once they go in as often because they're not treated like wild animals and put into a cage right beside each other.
Their focus is actually rehabilitation, right? Not just lock you up and get you out of society kind of thing, like brush you under the rug kind of thing, right?
Yeah, long-term fix, not quick fix.
Can you elaborate on how they keep them there?
Well, I'm pretty sure they're still locked in.
Yeah,
like it's still like a prison, but it's a lot less rigid kind of thing. Like they have their own, they have their own living quarters, and it's like they're living at home, but they're just in a prison with other prison members, and they can kind of do certain things, right?
I was just imagining just a bunch of dudes on the field being like, "Why am I here? I don't want to be here."
So just get
Bye.
airdropped onto a little island.
Yeah.
Like, you live here now.
I'm actually just gonna
That's what
go.
happened with Australia.
Yeah, that's how we got to Australia. That's went to shit. No.
Yeah.
It's just the whole prison.
I'm actually just gonna go. And officer's like, "All right, see you, Jeff."
Did you learn your lesson? Kinda. Okay.
Yeah.
See ya.
Yeah. Okay. I don't know. It's wild. Kyle, you wanted to talk about your boy Kyle.
Oh, my boy, you keep acting like these are my boys. It's not so much about him. We kind of went over it with this last one. It's like obviously he was not guilty. Like everything you see on it, he shot in self-defense. It is what it is. The part that I was talking about yet again was just going through trial and how I think a big part of what people think is corrupt in the justice system is the fact that like people that don't have money, don't have like good family structure would never know that if you like I guess with this in instance, everybody said he's guilty. The second that he shot anybody, did anything, he was a murderer. He hated black people. He hated everything. He was crucified immediately. He went through the entire trial system of having everybody say that he's a piece of shit, all this stuff, but he went through it, and in the end, he was found not guilty. If you don't have a strong sense of self, a strong family around you, or like a proper lawyer, you're going to immediately be like, everybody knows, everybody thinks I'm the worst. Maybe I am, and I'm going to take the first deal I can get. So yet again, people taking a deal instead of going through the process and proving themselves. And I think that's where the real corruption is that a lawyer that gets assigned to somebody isn't generally going to go above and beyond to try and get them off, especially if they're like like a not a homeless guy, but like a 17-year-old kid that dropped out when he was like 12 or something. They're not going to go above and beyond. So those people are going to disproportionately end up in jail and in prison. And I think that's what this case kind of shows, because like I looked up the stats before, and it's on average around 90% of cases get are somebody admitting to guilt before trial, before anything. 8% of the cases are dismissed, and then 2% go to trial. Of that 2%, 80% end up being proven guilty. So in the jail system, on average, 1.6% of people have been proven guilty in front of a court of law, out of 91.6% of people in the prison. So that right there is just a crazy number, that 90% of people are just in prison and they've snitched on themselves, basically.
I totally understand that point. My follow-up question to that statement, though, would be, does him being found not guilty mean he actually didn't do anything wrong? Does the act of being found guilty in court mean that someone didn't actually do something?
Yeah, why did he bring a fucking gun? Why did he go there with
So
a gun?
he says that he brought a gun for his own safety. I mean,
Why was he going there?
He was going there to help people.
He had a first aid kit. He lived in the community.
No, he didn't.
His whole family was from there.
No, he wasn't.
100%.
It's actually a fact that he actually lived somewhere else.
Where?
It was like 20 minutes away.
So you're saying 20 minutes away? So I
It's
live
not
in
your community.
Rosedale.
That's not 20.
Chilliwack's my community. I'm 20 minutes away.
20 minutes away is like Abbotsford. It's like a different town altogether.
No, I just said Rosedale. It's
Yeah,
20 minutes.
that's not 20 minutes, like 10.
Okay, we're gonna split tails for 5 minutes.
I'm
Okay,
just saying,
cool.
he doesn't live there.
Okay, so he doesn't live anywhere near there. It's a whole foreign place he went to. This is also at the exact same time that the defund the police movement was kind of going on. Idea behind that: the police show up, they're gonna do the disproportionately wrong things to black people compared to white people. Take that as it is, whatever, if it's true or not. So him going in, he's going in like, police aren't gonna come protect me. I want to help people. Like, maybe he has the idea of doing something else. He didn't end up doing anything else until he got attacked. But he was in there. There's videos of him helping different people with like administering first aid. And then every time that he had to shoot somebody was because he was attacked. And so that's where, if you were to go into an area that there's potentially going to be danger, does it make more sense to be armed, or does it make more sense to be like, I hope nobody hurts me?
So my two pushbacks would be, one, if you go there to help people, why would anyone find you threatening enough to attack you? That's not really logical. You're going there to help people. You're basically just standing around watching to see what happens. And if you see someone hurt, you're going to help them. No one's going in and kicking in the head of some guy, giving someone a bandage or something.
Who was he helping? Like, what was this situation? Why was he there?
I mean, I'm kind of going out on a limb on this, but I'm assuming when he says he went there to help people, he was talking about people probably protecting their businesses from getting looted.
So this was during a riot?
Yeah, it was. Okay. It was a pretty big BLM riot, I think.
Okay. It was a BLM protest. Yeah. Then after the curfew, just like pretty much every other Black Lives Matter movement, the people that are protesting leave, and the people that want to fuck shit up show up. So after the curfew is when all the people that want to flip a car over and put it on fire, want to bust out all the windows, that's when they show up, because this is their time to play, because the lights are off, you put on a mask, nobody sees you. Yeah. So that's where I think he had the protection, because he was no longer at a protest. He was now at a riot trying to help people.
Yeah. So I understand, like I said, if he was going there to help people, I don't think you would have been seen as a threat if you had a medical kit and you had some kind of, like, if that was your goal, was to just use your med kit. If you had some kind of marking on you showing that you have a med kit, you're just here to help people. No one goes after and just attacks doctors or nurses or people with like medical staff. Like, that's not a thing that you hear about. So
I feel like if I was in his shoes and my intention was to go and help people, I'd be putting on a big white coat and painting a red cross on the back or something like that, so that people clearly see, like, I'm the kind of person here to help.
Yeah, I mean, I would agree with that too. But to go further, so now that he's decided, okay, I need a gun of some sort. He chose an AR rifle. Now, he says in the trial that he didn't choose a handgun because he was 17, and so by law he thought it was illegal for him to carry a handgun. Now, first question is, why is it illegal for him to carry a handgun, but an AR rifle's okay? That's a different argument altogether. But that being said, I think there's a big lack of foresight with carrying an AR rifle. It's one thing to have a concealed gun that, sure, let's say it's illegal, whatever. But now you have this big gun on you. When you show a sign of force, people deem you as a threat and can misconstrue your intentions. In my opinion, he only got attacked because he was carrying a giant rifle at a BLM riot, and he was white.
Yeah.
He's also attacked by white people.
That's true, but any white guy bringing a big rifle to a BLM riot, though, unless you're like these white, the people that attacked him, they were white, but they weren't there bringing a gun. Well, I mean, they did have guns, but they weren't there flashing a big rifle at a BLM riot.
No, they were there destroying buildings and cars.
Yeah,
and
I'm not saying they're good people. I'm not going to defend them at all. They're actually, from what I hear, they all have records and they're all pieces of shit too.
Yeah, regardless of the records, because obviously he didn't know their records. He didn't know their past or anything like that. So
not really relevant.
It's kind of like when people say, oh, well, the cop killed this black guy, but 6 years before, he sold cigarettes and that was illegal.
Yeah.
It's kind of a silly point. But so for me, if I'm going into a place to try and help somebody and I know that every person there is not doing... These aren't good people that are out at this riot. The good people have left with the protest, and when that ended, the bad people are the ones that are out at the riot trying to hurt people. So if you're going somewhere to try and help people, and there's going to be hundreds of other people there, you think there's no chance that they're going to come at you? And if they come at me, do I want to have a pistol in my back pocket and then have 10 people come attack me, or do I want to show that, hey, I have my med kit here, clearly visible. I have my gun. If somebody wants to come talk to me, they'll immediately know, hey, no, I'm not here to hurt anybody. I want to help. If somebody just attacks me, I need to be able to protect myself. That's where I give the benefit of the doubt for having the gun. It's a catch-22, because if he showed up without the gun and nothing happened, it would be perfect. But if he showed up with the gun and this happened, now it's a huge story. But if he showed up without the gun and the same thing happened and he got attacked, this whole thing is he might have been the person that was a victim, and that other person might have been part of the trial. And that's where my mentality is, especially like if I was like his parent, I would rather him have to defend himself for doing something and staying alive than him being killed and going in somewhere without properly protecting himself.
I still think him bringing the gun in the first place was a bad look, especially since there's a recording of him talking about he was seeing looters and he says, man, I wish I had my AR so I could just go shoot those guys.
Yeah,
kind of suspect.
Because like, here's how I'm thinking of it. Like if he's telling the truth, like I can understand the series of events of like how he got there, of like he wants to literally be a hero in during this riot kind of thing, right? Like he wants to be able to help people, needs to bring the protection. Like I understand that. But yeah, the fact that like it I don't know. It
Like
just seems weird, man.
He's literally said that he would go shoot those people if he had his gun on him when he was looking at rioters.
Yeah.
And then he shows up to a riot with a big gun. Like,
yeah,
it doesn't look good.
That's the part that seems weird.
And the only reason that wasn't carried is because the judge decided that it wasn't admissible in court because he felt like it was a different topic altogether. Why? I'm not sure. I didn't sit through the hours of the trial to find out, but that's wild to me.
I know that, like, so the difference between a handgun and a rifle, especially in Canada. So I have my restricted or non-restricted firearms license, so I'm allowed to carry a rifle.
Mm-hmm.
So with a rifle, there's a lot of different types. There's like, you can just go for target practice. You can go like skeet shooting, hunting, things like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the thought process behind a rifle is a lot more relaxed.
Recreational. Almost.
Yeah. A handgun, there's a lot of seriousness behind that, because if you're holding a handgun, there's not many things a handgun does well other than shooting another person, basically, right? Like you don't take a handgun out hunting, right? So when you talk or think about a handgun, if I'm holding this, my intent is to harm someone else more than likely.
Yeah.
So I can see the understanding that he wants to go out and try and actually help people if he's actually telling the truth, and his intent was to bring a medic kit and go and help people that are in harm. The idea of then the afterthought that he has to bring a gun and it needs to be a rifle, I feel like that I understand that thought process. Because if he had brought a handgun, then it's like, okay, yeah, no, you brought that because you knew exactly what you were going to do with it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where bringing a rifle is kind of that last resort of, like, I could use it in self-defense if I needed to, but yeah, it's not necessarily the best choice of weapon for close contact, right?
I think the other thing that's sus to me too is like if it was like a hunting rifle, that'd be one thing. But like this dude was wearing like I don't know the specs of guns, but like AR looks like, I mean, it sounds like an assault rifle. I don't know if that's exactly what it stands
so
for.
it's just the AR-15 is like a scary sounding name because people associate it with like basically something that would resemble a machine gun.
Call of Duty.
yeah.
And the acronym, like you said, AR sounds like assault rifle. Because when you said it, I'm like, that's why I always think about it. Like,
and like we've all played Call of Duty, AR-15 and Call of Duty. That's an assault rifle.
Yeah.
That's where most of the non-gun knowledgeable people will probably get their information about what kind of guns. I don't really actually know.
I have an SKS, and that's technically an assault rifle. It's semi-automatic, so I can load 5 rounds into it and just cling, 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 and it shoots them all off, right? Like I don't know, it's an effective gun. But to try and bring that out into public, like, I don't know, that would be a very hard thing to use if you had to use it to defend your life with, I feel. Because it's you really have to aim and like use the barrel properly, and you have to be planning out your shots, I guess. That's
I think a big one to remember, like whether or not he did it right or anything, he's also 17, so he's gonna come up with dumbass ideas. So going there in the first place by himself was a dumb idea. If he wanted to go help, and like he was like our age, if I wanted to go do something like that, I would never go because it's me versus 1,000 people. If I went with like the 3 of us or like a couple extra friends, now we at least have somebody watching our backs. We're all working together, and most likely people aren't gonna come attack us because they can see we're clearly doing something organized together. But being a 17-year-old, he's probably like, I want to be Captain America today. This is my chance. I can go save my community. I can go do this. I can do this. Build it up grandiose in his head. And then he gets there and this kind of shit happens. And he's like, fuck, I didn't plan on any of this.
How come the court system's involved with being Captain America?
So I don't necessarily think ignorance is innocence. And I don't think that's ever been some kind of accepted form of logic. But that being said, I guess to make common ground, I could agree that maybe he shouldn't be convicted of murder. Maybe that's not the right charge. Maybe something like negligence, like a 17-year-old that thought it was a good idea to bring a gun to a riot. Probably not a good thought.
Yeah, okay.
But sorry, real quick. In that same thought, if you take that example and switch it, that's like blaming somebody for walking down a dark alley at midnight and saying, well, what were you thinking? Obviously something bad's going to happen here. So you can't blame somebody for being somewhere and having something bad happen.
Well, I think it's a difference when you have a gun, a big visible rifle.
At the end of the day, the riots shouldn't have been happening. He decided to go to a place that he shouldn't have been, and he got into a situation that shouldn't have happened. But he took the steps in order to get into that situation. So at the end of the day, he still shot and murdered people, and that's on him. He made the choice to go there when none of those people should have been there in the first place. So he ended the life of someone who maybe they were in the wrong place at the wrong time, and they got caught up in a self-defense situation where they don't know what's going on and they're afraid that other people are going to kill them. And then now he is the one that he overreacted more than those other people, and he was the one who shot and killed someone.
And that's why there's things like manslaughter. Maybe you were driving your car and you hit black ice and you ran over a family. You didn't mean to kill them, but you did.
Yeah,
and you get punished for that.
Happened.
You get punished for that. But the fact that he didn't get punished at all, that's where I have a problem. I'm not saying that the charges laid against him were the right charges or that he should have been guilty of those charges. I'm just saying the fact that he didn't get any punishment whatsoever and he took lives, that's fucked up.
Yeah. I
disagree.
I understand the situation that he got in. If he's telling the truth, I understand it. Like I get the series of events that got him there, but at the end of the day, he made that choice to be there. And that choice led to the ending of someone else's life. And he should have to pay the consequences for that situation.
So that's how I see it. Black Lives Matter decided to set up a protest. then Black Lives Matter, technically that was still their
But I don't
protest
see
going
how
on.
that has anything to do
Yeah,
with it, though, because it's the individual people that
I
decided
know
to use
every
that
one of them.
movement
Every
in
one
order
of
to
them.
be there,
But we're gonna
right?
blame the one person that had something almost happen to him and he defended himself. We're not
Well,
gonna
I
blame
feel like
everybody for
every
everything
person who
else.
killed someone on that day should be faced with trials, but this is the one person who got caught, and then now, because he's caught, he's being scrutinized, and he should have to pay the consequences for that action. That's how I see that.
I think it's also not necessarily fair to blame it on Black Lives Matter because, yeah, like they started the protest, but like you said at the beginning of your statement, they're not necessarily the ones that were rioting. So why would you blame Black Lives Matter?
He wasn't necessarily the one that was creating a problem. He was
But he
there
still killed
administering first aid. Yes. Somebody died during a Black Lives Matter rally.
No,
They
he
didn't-
shot
didn't-
someone.
Yes. And they set up the rally where people ended up getting shot. So he got shot
Because he brought the
because he
gun.
was
They
there.
didn't ask him to bring a gun. I just don't see the train of thought there at all.
So when in Vancouver, when the Game 7 happened, this was a couple of years ago, and there was huge rioting in the streets. Whose fault was that? Was that the Vancouver Canucks? Because they were the one that
didn't
hosted all of
organize
the
it.
events?
They
Well,
did,
technically
actually.
they did.
Yeah.
Or was it
They
the people on the
organized the
streets
protest?
who...
No, they organized the TVs in the streets where
yeah,
everyone was
because
watching the game.
everyone was outside. Everyone was watching and being aware of this event that was hosted by NHL. And then those people decided to overreact over the situation that they had all collectively heard about, and they decided to do something about it.
Yeah.
So whose fault is it? Is it the people there, the individual people that are adding up into a collective consciousness? Or is it the other party who hosted that event?
And that's the thing. Both were held accountable in that time because they no longer have those events. The people that were caught, they were put to trial as well. So this is what I'm saying. He went through trial, was proven not guilty because of everything that happened. If you're gonna say that it's his fault for being there, he should never have been there, nobody should have been there, then there never should have been a rally set up, which I don't agree with. I don't agree with that point. They should have the protest. The protest should have happened. It should have been peaceful like they wanted it to be. The rioters took over. Somebody trying to help because of if there's bad people and somebody comes to help and then those bad people try and do something to him, I don't see how that person should be held responsible for defending himself.
I guess the difference is I don't necessarily think I think it's kind of sus that he brought a big gun there, but do I think it was completely wrong that he was there? No. I think he could have gone there. Anyone that was in that area, whatever, they drove down there. Cool. I don't really care about that. It's the fact that people died and there was no repercussions. Like I said, he doesn't need to be a convicted murderer, but that's what manslaughter is. You accidentally defended yourself. You pushed somebody. Like we got in an argument, Kyle. I pushed you down the stairs. You fell and hit your head. You died. Even lighter than that. Kyle, you were just joking with me. I said something about your mother. You slapped me in the face. I lost consciousness, fell down, smoked my head, died. Do you deserve to be a murderer? No, but you did kill me, so there is repercussions for those things.
Okay.
And him defending himself, yeah, you can say he was just defending himself. He didn't mean to kill them. They just died. But like people died, there should be at least some repercussion. And having absolutely nothing, I think is wrong.
So if you were to knock me on the ground and then start hitting me with a piece of 2x4, and you start hitting me, or in the exact case, a skateboard, that's not me slapping you, you falling and accidentally dying. That's somebody attacking me and then me defending myself, and in that defense, somebody ended up dying.
Okay.
So that's where the difference in my thought process on that.
So one guy hit him. There was 4 people shot. They were all in different encounters, though.
One had a gun pointed at him.
He also had a gun pointed at him. I don't know.
We're just gonna run circles then.
He has a gun. He has a big rifle on him. I just think you bring that kind of force to a party, you invite force. Like, should any of those things happen? No. But the fact that people died, he shouldn't be a murderer. I just think he should have some kind of punishment, even if it's community service for something like that. There should be something. To have no punishment for being an underage minor bringing a gun to a public event. How is that not even at the minimalist some kind of negligence? There's no reason to ever bring a gun to a public event as a minor.
When you might have died.
Except if you were
didn't
worried
have
about
it.
dying, you shouldn't have been there. It's vigilantism. There's another one.
Yeah, I'm trying to set up a scenario in my head of like, I'm picturing you guys are fighting and I am a bystander, and I come up and I see this. One of you guys, Dustin's on the ground, he's hurt. I come up and I'm trying to save you. A third person or a fourth person sees this commotion, and he comes up and he starts attacking me because of this whole situation. So I'm getting up, and I have now murdered that other person because he was coming at me. So the only reason I was there in that situation was because I was trying to help someone. I was trying to save Dustin's life. But I still ended up killing someone just for trying to save someone else's life. So which one is the better of two evils kind of thing? Like
I think the biggest assumption there is that your intentions were pure. And I feel like despite the fact that it was inadmissible in court, he showed his intentions and have never been completely pure. Maybe they weren't bad. I'm not going to go as far as say he had bad, malicious intentions, but he's shown that he's thought about killing people that are rioters. He said it on camera. There's evidence of that.
I've also told you to suck my dick on camera, and I never wanted you to. So you can't. If somebody just says something, if it's out of context, you can't throw it into a new context. It's like when we like
heavily
you said,
related. Like that's so it's incriminating.
That's like if I was saying like I just fucked you up in Call of Duty and I'm saying I shot you, I'll kill you every time. Every time I see you, I'll kill you. If you take just that soundbite right there, and then in 5 years I do end up killing you, or I kill somebody, and somebody says, "See, he said this." And now look, he did this. So those two things were meant to be the same. So that's correlation, but it's not actually. I don't know if that's the right
correlation versus causation. I would connect
so that's
those
the
dots,
only
though.
one.
I would call that false equivalency because you're comparing what I said to you in competition or even in a video game that involves killing to real life, where I'm talking about he's talked about shooting rioters in public that were rioting, and then he shot people that were rioting in a riot.
Yeah, no, you're right on this one. I think I got caught up defending my own case, the ego again. You're right on that. He definitely saying that and putting it together. It is like you can't, like you said, if you say I want to shoot a rioter and then you shoot a rioter, it looks a lot worse. So yeah, you're right. You're right on that.
I'm not saying he had 100% malicious intentions. I don't think that he literally went there to kill people. I don't believe that. It just isn't a good look to say that, have that happen, and then say that you never intended to ever do that and act like you're holy and pure. Was he there to help people? I believe him. I believe he was. Was the gun a good call? I don't think so, but does that mean everything that happened to him was okay? Like people attacking him and running him? I don't think that's true either. I just think it's weird that someone could make a poor decision to put themselves, I just think overall it was a poor decision to be in that situation. And even if it's the slightest bit of negligence, like, hey, maybe he shouldn't have a gun license if he thinks that bringing his guns out in public is a good call. Even if he's like,
do you even need a gun license in America?
Oh, fuck. I don't
you
even
just go
know,
to the
man.
fucking corner store.
I don't know.
Yeah.
It's
I don't know why
America.
he didn't bring a rocket launcher. I think that's just what I made most. But
Yeah, slingshot.
I think we should move on. But I will say that you are right. Bringing a gun to the situation, going to the situation in general was a bad decision. If you are, this is the kind of situation that could show up. It's
feel
possible.
like if he hadn't have shot anyone and he saved a couple lives, he'd be a hero, right? Like he was the one person who went into the line of fire and he helped other people, and those people can now live another day. So that was the choice he was trying to make. So, but at the end of the day, that choice still led him to like a different scenario where he ended up having to shoot people. So at the end of the day, he's guilty on the fact that happened. Like that's without a doubt. And I think it's more along the lines of why isn't there any type of repercussion for that scenario? Because we can all try and be heroes, but by trying to be a hero, we have to make certain choices. And sometimes those choices don't always work out. But the fact that we made the choice in the first place means whether or not we fully thought through the consequences, we still have to accept those consequences because we made those choices.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's how it, like that's the end. Like
yeah, I would compare that to football. You make you see a play in football and you're like, oh, I can make this play, and you maybe do the wrong thing that you're not supposed to do. If you make the play, no one says anything.
Mm-hmm.
You made a risky play, but you stepped up. You made a play. You're a hero. But if you jump a route, you think you got it, and then you end up blowing it, and you're the reason you guys lost. Yeah, you're gonna get raked through the coals. There is some, there is going to be some kind of accountability to that. And that, at the end of the day, is the only sole problem I have with the whole situation is just that there was no consequences. Zero he can go home tomorrow. He can sleep. I'm not going to like go into the psychology of picking apart some pictures, but like even seeing pictures of him in the car leaving, he was just like laughing and smiling. I'm not going to go into, super nitpicky on that, but like he's literally just going to go home and like.
That can be taken out of context though.
That's
like there's
true.
been multiple times where Caden is just hurting himself or he's like crying and I'll crack a joke. And like he'll just laugh really quickly and then he kind of goes back to crying, right? Like there could be a paparazzi who got that one shot of him having one single laugh and then back to a serious conversation.
Yeah,
right?
Absolutely. So like I said, I'm not going to put much weight on that, but like he has zero consequences. He can go back to, not completely normal life, but he can go back to doing his thing. He doesn't have to do anything. That's just, I just think is kind of sus. But like I said, I don't think he's a murderer. I don't think he should have been convicted of murder. And if the whole reason he got off is because the only charges against him at the time were murder charges, then I understand. That's the justice system. It is what it is. They, like Kyle said at the beginning, they at least did their trial. They did what they're supposed to do, and that was the result.
Yeah.
Is what it is.
Well, I think that's a good place to wrap it up.
It is what it is.
If you've watched this far, thanks for sticking around. If you haven't already, make sure to like and subscribe. It makes a pretty big difference. Feel free to keep on commenting on everything because we're really liking the engagement. If you have anything worth repeating, we might end up saying a couple of things on the show. Who knows?
Come at me.
Hey.
Yeah, this means you can't just say the basics and you can't just swear at us.
Yeah, come on.
You gotta use a little bit of creativity.
Give me something good.
Give me something good.
Take care.
Peace.
Deuces.
Not actually on there. I had to reformat it.
I was wondering. I was like, I swear you just pressed the button.
He just wants a visual cue of pressing.
It's all the visual, man.